The market of Suzhou was a beating heart, with silk, spices, and commotion flowing through its veins. In this turbulent sea of life, Shen was a still stone, a man who possessed so little that he had become invisible. He stood in a corner of the square, where the scent of hot gingerbread mingled with the fragrance of jasmine blossoms. People passed him by, haggling, laughing, and shopping, but no one saw him. Poverty had cast an invisible cloak over his shoulders. Shen was hungry, but a pain deeper than hunger gnawed at his soul: shame. His hands were empty, but he had them clenched so tightly in his even emptier pockets that it seemed he was protecting the world's most precious treasure. His treasure was the last remaining speck of his pride. He had been a skilled stone carver, but after a long illness consumed all his savings and left his hands weak for a time. No one would give him work. Now he was left with a useless skill and a shame that locked his tongue. He could have held out his hand. He could have asked for help, but in his mind, doing so would mean accepting final defeat. It would mean he was no longer a stone carver, but a beggar. He would rather die of starvation than cross that line. He looked at others, not with envy, but with a cold distance. He was no longer a part of the game of life, just a silent spectator. As he was drowning in his isolation, an old man with a simple robe and a bamboo staff stopped before him. The old man's eyes held the calm of a mountain pool. He looked at Shen, not with pity, but with curiosity. Then he spoke in a soft voice. "You are clenching your fists very tightly. What precious treasure are you hiding in them?" The question was so unexpected that Shen was speechless for a moment. He looked down at his empty, clenched hands and, for the first time in months, felt truly seen. In a voice that was barely a whisper, he replied, "Nothing. My hands are empty." The old man, who was the Zen Master Wei, smiled. "So you are protecting nothing. It must be very valuable. Come with me. I would like to know this treasure of yours better." Confused and captivated by the old man's peace, Shen followed him. They left the hustle of the market and arrived at a small, quiet temple by the river. Master Wei invited Shen into a simple room with a low table. He placed 2 clay cups on it and began to prepare tea. Master Wei picked up one of the cups and showed it to Shen. "Look at this cup. What makes it useful for drinking tea?" Shen hesitated. "Its shape, the clay it's made from." Master Wei shook his head. "No. What makes this cup useful is the empty space inside it. If this cup were full, it could no longer receive anything. Its value lies in its emptiness." He poured hot tea into the empty cup and pushed it toward Shen. "You think that because your hands are empty, you are worthless. But you are like this cup, Shen. Your emptiness is not your defeat. It is your greatest potential. You have the space to receive, but your clenched fists are like an overturned cup. Until you open them, not even the most generous rivers can fill them." Shen stared at the cup of hot tea before him. The master's words were simple, yet they shook his world. The next day, Master Wei took Shen for a walk along the river. They came to a narrow wooden bridge, a section of which had been broken in the previous night's storm, making it difficult for the old man to cross. Master Wei turned to Shen and said simply, "I need help to cross. Can I lean on your shoulder?" For a moment, Shen hesitated. He, a man in need of everything, was now being asked to be the helper. He stepped forward hesitantly and helped the master cross the bridge with care. When they reached the other side, Master Wei bowed to him and said, "Thank you. You have been a great help to me today." A strange, warm feeling spread through Shen's chest, a sense of usefulness he had long forgotten. Master Wei pointed to the river below them. "When I leaned on you, did I become weaker?" "No, Master," Shen replied. "And when you offered me your shoulder, did you lose anything?" "No, Master. In fact, I felt stronger," Master Wei smiled. "Then why do you believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness? Look, the riverbank allows the water to embrace it, and the water shapes the bank. The trees lean on the earth, and the earth gains strength from their roots. The entire world exists in a dance of giving and receiving. To ask for help is not to break one's pride. It is to join the dance. When you refuse to ask for help, you not only deny yourself the ability to receive, but you also deny another the joy of giving." They continued walking until they reached an open meadow. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and violet. The scene was so beautiful, it took one's breath away. Master Wei turned to Shen. "Describe this scene to me," he said. "But do it as if you were trying to sell it to a blind man." Shen, who had spent his life working with stone and shapes, looked carefully at the details. He didn't speak of colors, but of feelings. He said, "The sky is like a hot bowl of molten metal that is slowly cooling. Its edges turn dark blue first, like iron plunged into water. The clouds are thin strips of gray silk stretched across this hot metal, slowly burning away. And the light that falls upon the land has a gentle warmth, like the breath of a tired dragon." When he finished, there was a long silence. Then Master Wei took a few coins from his robe and placed them in Shen's hand. "What is this for?" Shen asked, surprised. "I have purchased this sunset from you," the master replied. "With your words, you gave me something I could not see on my own. You think that because you have no money or food, you have nothing to give. But you have eyes to see, a heart to feel, and a tongue to describe. These are the real treasures. You have been sitting next to a treasure this whole time, complaining about your empty pockets." That night, for the first time in a long time, Shen slept peacefully. The next morning, he bid farewell to Master Wei with a deep bow. As he was leaving, the master gave him a simple bamboo flute. "Sometimes," he said, "the best way to open one's fists is to find something to hold." Shen returned to the city. He no longer hid in the corners. He went to the center of the market square where everyone could see him. He did not beg. He brought the flute to his lips and began to play. He was not a professional musician, but the melody he played told the story of everything he had seen and felt. The story of a sunset, of a generous river, and of an empty cup. His music was full of silence and full of meaning. People stopped and listened. They heard in his music not the skill of a musician, but the honesty of a soul. A small bowl was in front of him. People tossed coins into it, not out of pity, but in exchange for the beauty he had given their day. That day, Shen earned enough money to buy bread and cheese. As he was heading home, he saw a child, barefoot and hungry, sitting in a corner. Shen sat next to him, broke his bread in two, and gave half to the child. "But you don't have much yourself," the child said, surprised. Shen smiled. "I learned today that as long as you have something to give, you are never truly poor." He was no longer a man with empty hands. He was a man who had learned how to give the greatest gifts from the emptiest of hands. This story teaches us that the shame of asking for help often stems from a misunderstanding of human worth. We equate our value with our possessions or our ability to produce something tangible. Shen's tale shows that our greatest assets are often invisible. Our capacity to see beauty, to feel, to share an experience, and to connect. Asking for help is not a weakness, but an invitation to create connection and participate in the natural flow of giving and receiving, upon which the entire universe is built. This story is a reminder that sometimes the first step to being filled is to accept and open up the empty space within ourselves.